If your team got guaranteed money, tell them call me.
Whoop. Make me say, my. I done been around the world.
Yeah, I was made for this.
Player Performance with J.A. Cavalier.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to NBA Player Performance on this Monday, May 12th, 2025, a gigantic day in NBA history. That might sound slightly outrageous, but I don't think so. The Knicks have a chance to level up for the first time in about 35 years, and the Warriors are on the brink. We're not on the brink. We're ready to dominate. Luke, outdoors somewhere. Luke, you at an airport? What's going on, brother?
It looks like I'm about to hit takeoff. We are just outside a coffee shop working on the road today, enjoying the beautiful sunshine. It is Monday, and it is time to slay the books. We're all business here. Don't get it wrong that I'm in the shades, just protecting the eyes, ready to find some winners. Both games, let's break it down. And I'm ready for one or two. You know what's coming.
You know, the last time you were in a coffee shop, there were people around. You couldn't make noise. Now you're outside. I think the fans are waiting. Some big-time buckets on a Monday. NBA Player Performance starts right now.
I live the bright lights, the type, the crowd likes. Where you at, ballers? Ladies love me and men, they wanna be me, they pay to come see me. Where you at, ballers?
Mondays are for momentum. As I said, it doesn't get much bigger than this, particularly in the second round of the NBA playoffs. First game on the card, Celtics at Knicks, Madison Square Garden in the center of New York City. 7:30 p.m., Celtics laying 6.5. 6 now in the market. Interesting total at 208. As I said, this game has historical ramifications. The Knicks have not been this relevant since the 90s when they lost in the finals to the Duncan Spurs, and before that, the Olajuwon Rockets. I said it's the second round, but this game is huge. You can't give this one back tonight. You stole 2 on the road. Boston needs home court. We have a huge conversation. Drop your comments in the chat. We will engage you. Luke, let's start off with some props. I didn't even ask you before the show what you have. Open me up. What's going on?
You don't have to ask, Shark. It's Shark and Shuey when we're on the air. It's good vibes only. Last Thursday when we were on the air, that game was perfection. For those of you who recall, it was a T-Wolves setup. We nailed almost everything on the show. And I think we were one play short of our parlay, of course. They love us being one short. Nonetheless, electric vibes tonight. I agree. It's going to be a great game. The guys in the comments are kind of hinting at where I'm headed with this New York Knicks roster in the props game. I like Jalen Brunson to dish some assists tonight. I like Jalen Brunson to maybe not score 30 tonight. It doesn't mean the Knicks won't play well. I think they put up points. But Boston has to slow him down. They literally have to. If Drew Holiday doesn't get up on Brunson all game and they don't hard hedge, they're going back to Boston down 3-1, essentially series over. They have to regain home court. The only way they do that is slowing down the man, the myth, Mr. Clutch, Jalen Brunson. So I think he's going to be dishing the ball more tonight. I think it's a big role players game. Guys like Mikal Bridges, guys like OG Anunoby, potentially Karl Anthony Towns. I look for them all to kind of spread the love tonight. One guy we like, Anunoby, in a bounce back spot. What did he do the last 2 games? 5 points, 2 points. Horrendous shooting. Prior to that, he put up 29 points and 20 shot attempts in game 1. I really look for OG to be efficient tonight, attacking the rim and getting some 3-point looks against this Boston team that's going to clearly have to double or at least hard hedge against Brunson. So it's Anunoby, Bridges, Karl Anthony Towns for me tonight. Do you like that, Shark? Does this go with your gameplay?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, over the weekend, of course, we weren't on here having a conversation, but I know a bunch of people were betting this game. In fact, I believe millions of people were betting the game over the weekend. And I think a lot of people cashed their ticket. I think people were really heavy on Boston. We've been talking about this for years. For whatever reason, this Tatum-Boston group functions better on the road. I will never entirely understand it. I guess maybe they're a little too comfortable in their home gym. They like to be trash talked by the New York crowd on a Saturday afternoon, but they came out and shot the ball at that rate they are capable of. 20 made threes, 20 for 40. And we've been sitting here talking about this not only in this series, we've been talking about it all year and years prior. This team lives and dies by the 3 ball. The previous 2 games, they could not shoot at all. Knicks actually were plus 3 points in the 3-point gap in games 1 and 2 combined. Game 3 alone, Boston was plus 45. And look, you talk about synchronicities, weirdness, the oddity of numbers. I'm still trying to figure out. Boston missed 45 threes precisely in game 1. And in game 3, they precisely won the 3-point gap by 45 points. Going to tonight, I know I was looking at JA's calendar and his portfolio earlier. This is not giving away any of the elite banger plays. JA does like Boston money line. I do suspect Boston will win this game, but I do want to really emphasize this. This is more than just for this team. This is for New York City tonight. You go on the road in this series and you beat Boston twice in Boston. You give your entire heart and energy, and then you come back and get your ass absolutely beat. This is the biggest game for the Knicks since the 98 playoffs. I firmly believe that. This game tonight is going to tell us where this team is going forward. If they win tonight, they go up 3-1. They have a rebuttal, a revenge from the nonsense on Saturday, and they say what we did in game 1 and game 2 was not an anomaly. We didn't get lucky. It wasn't because Boston just couldn't shoot the 3. We are capable of leveling up in this NBA competitive dynamic in 2025. I have the hat on. I am not dropping an official on this. I do have multiple officials in this game. We are looking at some props and stuff like that. As you were saying, OG Anunoby, fairly incomprehensible game over the weekend. 31 minutes, only 2 points, only 6 shots. And you were alluding to this, but I think if the Knicks are going to play a better game tonight, they have to allow the secondary players outside of Brunson and Towns to get in their flow offensively. And when you see Anunoby being so uninvolved, I think he's going to pop tonight. Luke, you're talking about a bunch of these other guys. I mean, obviously the Knicks rotation is not particularly deep. So I do think we're really centering on Bridges and Anunoby tonight. And in terms of the actual total here, Luke, I think we're looking at more points expected here, correct?
I am. And that's why I like these role players to have over value because, you know, yes, I'm not denying Brunson's talent. He is that guy. He's shown it. He's like I think he's doubled every other NBA player's clutch points this postseason. Nobody does that. I mean, nobody, even Kobe, could put up that type of numbers compared to the rest of the field. It's crazy. So I'm not denying that, but I'm just saying that the others have to get involved because if they're going to play a slow it down style and rely on Brunson, it's not going to win the entirety of a game with Boston shooting so many threes. So they have to pick up tempo, pick their spots, attack in transition when they can, and really spread the love and swing the ball around. So for me, official plays, I'm looking at Anunoby over 14.5. I'm looking at Mikal Bridges over 13.5. I think both those lines are shifting maybe even as we speak up a point or two. So love that value. Those are my officials. I'm not going to get on Karl Anthony Towns still. I think he probably just barely hits like 20. But it's those other two that value. And Matt Austin, love you in the chat. One of our loyal guys says, yell it to someone on the street. Hey guys, Anunoby over 14.5. Book it.
We're still almost there. That was still only about 70% capacity. We'll get there one day. But, you know, speaking of 70% capacity, I think this is going to be 100% capacity tonight for both teams. I was going to give you guys another free play. We'll do it here. I'm feeling the vibes. Top play in this game, an official play, take the over at 208. And truthfully, it's what Luke said. It's what I said before. But if the Knicks are going to compete in this game tonight, which I think they are, I don't necessarily see a victory, but I see a tight game. They absolutely cannot just sit back and try to log jam the game. Boston is not going to shoot 10% from 3 again. They're just not going to do it. Not only that, Boston scores the ball much better at Madison Square Garden. They're actually averaging 117.8 points per game last 5 at the Garden, all victories. And again, if the Knicks want to compete here, they cannot try to slow this down and let Boston do what we actually told you guys last week, play a really slow pace Boston actually third lowest pace in the league, which is crazy to think how much they score. It's because they shoot such a high field goal percentage. But if you're going to slow it down, you're going to let Boston do what happened over the weekend. Boston's going to hit 23s on you, and you're going to have no pushback and no energy. The Knicks, contrary to historical Knicks basketball, this victory tonight and this effort has to come offensively. They're not going to win this game tonight by trying to hold the Celtics to 95 points. If the Knicks win this game tonight, it's going to be somewhere in the range of 110 to 109 or something like that. And a couple more points on this. This is just a series that is due to explode in points. As I said, both games in Boston shot historically awful from three, but there was a lot of field goal attempts in those games. Game one, there was 184 combined attempts. Game two, 180. Game three, lowest line of the series, 205.5. Only 163 shot attempts. But again, middle of the afternoon on a Saturday, I still don't know how pro athletes can't get up and compete at that hour. I mean, the Knicks were absolutely dead. You're going to see a first quarter tonight somewhere in the range of 60 points, and this game is going to absolutely explode. Our guy Justin Coolin says, take the under. We'll give you 12 minutes. He'll give you 3 words, and we'll say our 3 words, opportunity to dominate. Take the over at 208, and let's keep it moving. Next game on the card, as I said, equally huge historical game tonight in San Francisco. Timberwolves-Warriors, game 4, 10 o'clock, Chase Center. You watched the game the other night. It certainly felt like the Warriors could have won that game. They were ahead through 3 quarters. The Wolves did what they do. Biggest margin in the fourth quarter in the entire league this year from a win rate and point per game differential perspective. It's what they did. Wolves 33, Dubs 24. Now you get desperation Warriors. And I was saying to Luke before the show, as much as the Knicks need to win this game tonight for all sorts of historical purposes, this really could be one of the last big games for the Warriors with Steph and this group. Steph's hurt. He will not be coming back until game 6. If the Warriors lose tonight, they're not winning game 5 at Minnesota, and we have no idea what's going to happen in the offseason. So the Warriors tonight have a massive, massive basketball game. I have some officials in this one as well. Luke, you have props.
Sorry, I muted myself because I'm so excited. But Shark, I'm curious to hear your take here on the teams and potentially the total here. I do agree. This is a historically important spot for Golden State. To be honest, as I'm looking at the props, I don't see them winning. Like I really don't see them winning this game without Curry. It just if they can keep it low scoring enough, yeah, of course, if they can shut down the T-Wolves, they've shown they can win. But it doesn't feel that way when I'm looking at the numbers. And what I did like last game for the Timberwolves, Ant-Man, he was aggressive. I mean, he got up 28 shot attempts, looked really good in terms of aggression. And I love to see that. He's a dog. You don't want him to be passive and not confident. I love to see him attacking and getting those mid-range jumpers, getting to the rim, getting to the foul line. I really liked what I saw there. And so what I like tonight is essentially all of the Timberwolves starters in terms of points and rebounds, not literally for the game to fly over statistically, but what I saw from Coach Finch was an unwillingness to play any bench players. Almost every starter played 40-plus minutes besides Gobert, and I think Conley was just under 2. But he did not play the bench. He played DiVincenzo, Alexander Walker, and one who is the third guy? I'm blanking on the third one. And they played all less than 18 minutes. No bench players getting any capacity of playing time tonight because the Timberwolves want to take this series and take it quickly. I love everyone over in the starters. So like that could be Gobert points, Gobert rebounds. Oh, Naz Reid was the third one. Duh. I love Naz. But so I love Ant-Man over tonight. I love Gobert over tonight. I like Jaden McDaniels. There's a lot you can get me to in the overs. I don't want to give away all the VIP picks. And I'm going to give away a spot play here, Shark, too. This is for fun. At plus money, you can get steals. For those of you that bet the steals and blocks category, Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels both are listed at 1.5 steals over at like plus, what did I have it at last? Plus 175. In the last game, they didn't have any. The game prior, they combined for 6. So I really like to take both of those at plus money because one of them should hit tonight. I think at least Edwards or McDaniels gets to 2+ steals. Warriors are going to turn it over in a game that it's high pressure. They have to try and score. So I just said a lot, but it's Timberwolves starters, value plays, and it's Edwards and McDaniels in the steals category for a plus money play.
Yeah, no, I to a certain degree, I do disagree with that from the standpoint. I do think the Warriors will win this game tonight. For something, it's bigger than just a handicap. I think they know this is the final stand. They know they can't lose. And Kerr was actually having some interesting quotes in the press conference after the loss on Saturday night. Again, 102-97, lost the fourth quarter by 9. They were right there, and that's what he said. A reporter said, "What's going to have to happen Monday, basically, for you guys to win?" And Kerr said, quote unquote, "Not that much. We're right there." And I think that's the point. If you look at that game, the teams had almost an identical amount of field goal attempts, and they both had precisely 21 free throws. So you talk about like a variance game. And even though Steph Curry is not playing, I look at the flow of this series, and I just think it evens up here. You look at what happened on the road. Warriors won game 1, then Minnesota bounced back. Same thing here. Minnesota wins game 1. I think the Dubs bounce back. And again, I think there's just a bigger energy tonight in this arena than the Wolves are used to. And you saw this last year. The Wolves do have this ability to be very inconsistent and unpredictable. I think they're capable of laying down here. And I do also want to center on Jimmy Butler specifically. And I want to ask you about Jimmy Butler in the props market tonight. Of course, the guy dropped over 30 points on Saturday night. But I was looking at something he said about this game. And he said, basically, Steph's not coming back unless we win this game because we're probably not going to win. He didn't say we're not going to win game 5, but he basically said we have to win tonight. And he said we have to put our big boy pants on. Of course, that sounds like something you say to a 4th grader. But I started looking at Jimmy Butler's quotes historically, and I got to be honest with you guys, I wasn't entirely familiar with just like how much of like a legend this dude is, like with the quotes and like his life. Obviously, I know he was disrespected coming out of high school. He went to Marquette, and he's kind of bounced around. He's a little enigmatic, but I was looking at this earlier, and I thought to myself, like, wow, this is interesting. So I'm just going to read a couple of these quotes. First quote that I thought was very interesting. When he was in Miami, and they were saying he basically carried the whole team. He said, "I don't call them role players. I call them teammates," which I thought was very interesting in terms of his leadership ability. I think you're going to see that tonight. And another quote, "I've learned enough times in my life that saying something is completely different than acting upon it." And final quote amongst hundreds of quotes, "My whole life, people have doubted me. My mom did." Think about how crazy that is. He said his mom doubted him. He said, "People told me in high school that I was too short and not fast enough to play basketball. They didn't know my story because if they did, they would know that anything is possible." And I mean, you talk about a dude that you just get behind when you read these quotes. And I talked about Giannis growing up in Greece. And of course, this is not exclusive to Jimmy Butler. A lot of these guys come from some hard times growing up. But you have to respect this dude based on his mental makeup and these quotes. So my point here is, amongst all these other points, this game tonight is a Super Bowl game. It's a game 7. It's Kerr, it's Draymond, it's Jimmy Butler. And speaking of Draymond actually fouled out in the 4th quarter of that previous game, which did open it up for Minnesota. And you guys know Draymond. He has the ability to rein it in a little bit. With the fouls and the technicals, like he pushes, but if he has to back off, he can. And our guy Adam in the chat says, "Are y'all predicting Pods to bounce back tonight? You called it 4 games ago versus Houston. How about him tonight?" Luke, I'll throw it to you for that one.
Yeah, I think all of your takes were just so sharp that I think I like the Warriors too. Now that you talked me through it, I don't think that actually takes away from some of the props that I have for Minnesota because the value on them is playing time. I do think the starters will play all game. They're going to have to score somehow. And I kind of agree with Chad in the comments too. Like this series, a lot of it's been an under series. Like for Golden State to win tonight, they're going to grind it out. Like they're not going to score 130 points. We all know that. So I tend to like what you're saying in general. For Pods, he's an interesting fella. We did call his career game against the Rockets. That was a fun one. And I've faded him since successfully. His line's at 11.5 tonight. I have it projected numerically to be very sharp. I have him projected for like 11.6. Like that's right on the money. Let me just pull up his game log to see the trends here. Live time. See if we can cap a pods line for you guys. It's slow loading, but oh wow. I actually do tend to like the bounce back spot here. I mean, because this series he's played horrendous. 3 points, 1 of 7 shooting. He came back for 11 points, but it was a blowout loss. And then last game, he played 40 minutes, Shark, 1 of 10. 1 of 10. I mean, I do think you likely will see him shoot more tonight because Jimmy Butler absolutely dominated possession and scoring last game. So he's going to have to spread the love a little bit. But you talked about it with Butler's experience and his leadership. He's going to grind it out tonight. Butler took 26 shots last game. The next in line was Kuminga with 18. So you could see more of the same. It's a Butler-Kuminga pods show. Buddy Hield obviously will have pop up at his times. So if I had to say anything for pods, it's a lean to the over, but not by a lot. I don't have him for a 20-plus night tonight.
Yeah, and I think that, as you were saying, and the chat's also saying, like, we expect an under here tonight. I see this game finishing at 196 points. So the point here is, somebody's going to score, but nobody's going to go absolutely nuts. You're not going to take a Donovan Mitchell 48-point game here in this game tonight. Like, Jimmy's probably going to get 28, and these other guys have to improve. And I think on the Podziemski point, I think we're expecting a reversal tonight from what we saw in game 2 in terms of these role players. Jonathan Kuminga had 30 points over the weekend. I believe that was his best career game. He may have had another game over 30 at one point, but, I mean, by far his best playoff points output. Podziemski was awful, as you said. 1 for 10. But I think when you want to buy low on a player, it's when they're getting a lot of minutes and they do take a lot of shots. He got, I believe, 39 minutes over the weekend. 39 minutes. So Podziemski is going to be playing Steph Curry minutes here tonight, guys.
And it's not like he's not involved in the offense. It's different if it's a guy that literally sits in the corner, but he's running around screens. Like, he's involved every possession. So I do agree. You don't play 40 minutes and make one shot usually with his type of style of play.
Right, exactly. And when we called the over against Houston, it was the same general idea that he had a lot of play time and he'd been ice cold from the field. And it's just in these playoffs, as we've said numerous times, you want to find the zigzag with these players. It's not like the regular season where there's these random guys that never play and we get to buy low on like a G League player. These are good high-level NBA basketball players. And interesting that we're saying this about Brandon Podziemski. Definitely not a household name going back 4 years. But I think he's definitely going to have a bounce-back game tonight. Just a little bit further on this game. The psychology of this game is historically unique, not only from the standpoint of the Warriors, maybe at the end of their window here to a degree. It's a very rare environment in a playoff series where you're down 2-1 at home. And if you win one game, you prolong to 6, and then you get a top 5 NBA player in the history of the league coming back in game 6. So, like, this is not your normal series where you're getting a little bit beat up and you're probably going to end up losing. No, this is literally like, it's kind of like, they were always saying, like, the world wars. Like, if you can just hold court overnight tonight, like, weather the storm once, reinforcements are coming, and then you win in 3 days. That's what this is like. If they can somehow hold down the fort tonight, like literally like a battle overnight in a war, they get reinforcements back and the whole series shifts. So I think the psychology here is gigantic to prolong this so Steph can come back. Because if you really look at what was going on in this series before Steph got hurt, I mean, the first game was complete domination, 99-88 Warriors. The second game, the Warriors looked reasonable, and Steph gets hurt in the first quarter. They were up 13-8. I think Minnesota went on a little mini run to tie it, but the game was about to be tight. And you go back to the regular season, the Warriors played Minnesota really tough all year. So if they can somehow just, as I said, hold the fort overnight here one time, the reinforcements are gigantic in this game, in this series. And it's game 6. I think the Warriors could win 6 and 7, even on the road. We saw them win game 7 at Houston. We saw them beat Sacramento on the road in the playoffs last year, or the year before, excuse me, in game 7. This team can play great in that spot. So a lot of interesting points there. Let's talk props on Minnesota just for a second. I don't know if you looked at Julius Randle. Obviously coming off a big game. We've been all over Randle now for a few games as well. For those of you guys who watch us every day, you know this. If you guys don't watch NBA Player Performance, welcome. What we do here is we scale numbers, narratives, ATS sides, totals, props, everything. It's the most comprehensive analysis we believe you will find on the internet. Luke, did you look at Randle? I know we've been all over this guy. Is he going to just keep going, or is he going to have one of those dud games?
Yeah, so I don't have him to necessarily go completely off, but look at what he's done this series. 18 points, 24 points, 24 points. Why I actually would lean over, it's just tough because the Warriors play such good defense, but he's done all that, Shark, despite shooting 15%. That's 15% from 3. Like, he literally is not making threes, and he's still scoring 22 plus a game in this series. For that reason, I tend to like the over. He's getting to the free throw line. He's shot 16 free throws this series. Just super efficient from the 2-point range. So, like, if he can knock down a couple of threes, the value is certainly in his over here again tonight. For that reason, and because he and Ant have really been the only offensive production, I've liked the Warriors to really key on him. So like, it's interesting. This is a play. It's funny you ask. Randle, for me tonight, numbers for the over meet narrative and gameplay lean to the under. It's actually kind of a contradictory spot for me, because I think Golden State's going to really try and focus on forcing him out of the paint. So that would lean towards under, but simply numbers based, it's an over. So all that to say, I'm staying away from his points line tonight. I do have a VIP take on his assist line. So we'll do with that what you will. You can always join our VIP team and our free picks Telegram threads. The links are in the description below, but we appreciate you guys immensely, as Shark always says. So Randle is a stay away for me on points. Do you have more data than that?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of intrigue here. You said he had a lot of free throws, very clustered to game 1, actually. And, shout out to Julius Randle. I mean, this is pretty impressive. He is 16 for 16 in the series. Get him, Julius. Practice in the offseason those free throws, brother. But, I mean, especially in some of these series. You guys saw Denver yesterday. Denver missed 5 free throws in the final 4 minutes. They would have freaking won the game if they just hit some free throws. So, Julius, thank you for actually putting in some fundamentals here, bro. But, the fact that it was 10 in the first game and then 3 and 3, I think that's more normalizing now. I think he's only going to get there like 3 to 5 times. And also, we talk about refs. I think this is going to be one of those games where the refs lean towards the Warriors tonight. One of the most notorious refs in this scenario is Scott Foster. Scott Foster is actually officiating the Boston-New York game tonight, which I think is incredibly interesting because I think Scott Foster leans towards Boston tonight. The referees in the late game here, Mark Davis, Courtney Kirkland, Pat Fryer, and Eric Dalen. Can't say totally household names here, but I do think they're going to be leaning towards the Warriors, I think, for numerous reasons here. That all being said, that would mean less fouls called on the Warriors. And as we said before, Draymond fouled out of the previous game. Draymond's going to know that and not be as ridiculously aggressive here. Going back to Randle, however, I do actually kind of like an under here for him tonight. If you look at these previous 2 games, 24 points and 24 points. I mean, truthfully, he's been playing fantastic basketball. He almost had a triple-double in game 2, 24, 7, 11 assists. He did have a triple-double in game 3, 24, 10, 12 assists. He's playing some of the best basketball of his career. That all being said, I think, as we said, under game, not as many fouls called on the Warriors, 24 points consecutive games. His number is only at 20.5 here. I think it's coming down, right, Luke?
I agree. I mean, I really was alluding to that with the fact that I think the Warriors are going to try and force him out of the paint. I think that's a huge play tonight. And I just cannot believe his numbers, truthfully. Even his assist lines. I mean, 11 and 12. The guy averaged 4.7 on the season. Like, he is playing certainly the best basketball of his postseason career ever. he did not play well in clutch moments as a Knick. I think that was well documented. So I actually like seeing this. Like, congratulations, Julius. Way to get him. Keep balling out. But tonight, I agree with you, Shark. If anything, if you want a points prop, it's got to be under 20.5. It's almost to the point where it would be an outlier for him to score 24 for a third straight time. I truly feel that. So I'd lean under. And I was just seeing what he did the prior series. Like, he did ball out against LA too. He's just going off in the postseason. He had 22.6 points per game against the Lakers. But one last fact to lean to the under here for what Shark's saying is in 8 postseason games, he has scored 22.4 points per game, and the books still keep him down under that at 20.5. In fact, he's covered over 20.5 6 of the 8 games, but they have not increased his line. That's showing you that the books are projecting a down slope a little bit. I do think Julius is probably in the 16 to 19 range tonight. So the more we talk through it and cap together live, Shark, the more I love what we're saying. It's Randle under tonight, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're on our way to a nice parlay here. And as you said, on Thursday, we somehow we literally hit every angle of that game except for Pat Spencer going over his PR. And we were talking about this freaking guy. He plays college lacrosse. I was thinking about it. He's watching college lacrosse game tape. Forget NBA, dude. He crushed us on that one. Our guy Edgar Pineda says, "Traduce la página, por favor, sobre Venezuela." Our guy. We'll try to do that. I used to live in Argentina for a little bit. Love the Espanol. Let's dominate. Let's get to our best bets, and we'll keep it going towards that parlay. Two of the biggest games you will find on a Monday. 2 of the biggest personalities on the sphere, the Shark and Shuey. We got Shuey outside with the shades on. He's not at an airport. He's at a coffee shop, and he has a best bet.
We do. I'm going back to game 1. It's Knicks Celtics. It's Knicks role players tonight. I see Brunson having to distribute. I really think Boston is going to force their hand, and it's role players that are going to step up. It's Bridges, it's Anunoby, but we're going with it again. It's OG Anunoby. He's putting up 20+ tonight. I think he has to. I think he could go for 25. OG Anunoby over 14.5. Get it at 15.5 for plus money. I don't care because we're going to book it.
I love it. And as we said, only 6 field goal attempts over the weekend. And if you guys follow the Knicks, our guy Sean says, Knicks are ass. Profound statement on a Monday. But, I mean, I'll leave it at that. Profound. But if the Knicks are going to play good ball tonight, it can't just be the Jalen Brunson show. And as I said, they need to open up the game. They need to move the ball around. They need to get these guys involved. You guys have seen Anunoby throughout the season. He does come off of very poor efforts, more inspired and more focused. Like, he's your classic player that kind of has to like lay an egg first to get like fired up for himself. And then he comes back juiced. Luke and I were talking about this before the show. Guy grew up in England, I believe. Not a lot of English NBA players. Went to Indiana. Turn them up tonight, OG. And that correlates to my best bet for the show. Over Celtics-Knicks 208. We said it all. It's going to be more open. The Knicks have to play at a higher pace to keep up with the Celtics. You can't bank on the Celtics shooting 25% or worse from 3. They're not going to do it again. Boston shoots the ball great at Madison Square Garden in this window. Boston's going to score. The Knicks cannot rely on an outlier. They have to pace it up and shoot well themselves. Anunoby over, Knicks over, best bets. They correlate, and it is an opportunity to dominate. Let's get that parlay going. And again, we got a lot of options tonight. Let's just hit this already, for God's sakes, right, Luke? Like,
It's time to smack it. I refuse to let Pat Spencer get in our way. He's not going in the parlay tonight. He's not doing it again. So let's see what we can find. Shark, for good vibes, after capping this live with you, I have to kick it off with Julius Randle under. We're going to go under 20.5 points for Julius tonight. I think it's a great look. I think it's a really good spot. Other than that, I'll start off with 2. So I'll take that one. And then I'm not going to let Pat Spencer beat me, but you know who I'm going to give permission to beat me is Gary Payton II. I have him for over 9.5 PRA. I actually have him projected for 8 points tonight. So that means if he can get 2 rebounds or assists in addition to the projected points, he should go over. and he flies all over the court. So he does like to snag a few rebounds here or there. So that's Gary Payton, the second, over 9.5 PRA.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, again, like without Curry and the way they're going to play tonight, he's going to be on the court for probably 20 minutes plus, and he's just a grinder. I mean, he's your classic guy. Obviously, the son of Gary Payton, top-graded point guard in the 90s for the Sonics. But this kid went to Oregon State, not a big-time program. And he really has grinded his way to the league. And you talk about a lot of these guys who were the sons of these superstar players in the 90s. You don't just get to this point because you were, riding the coattails of your dad's name. This guy plays hard. He really plays hard. So the PRA, I think, is by far the best market for him because he's going to accumulate assists and rebounds, and it will really facilitate that coming north. So I like that play. Let's put the Knicks over in this at 208. It's getting steamed up. So the market is starting to see what we're saying here. Of course, we are live here. The lines do generally move with us as we drop these plays live. We see you guys out there dropping millions. We appreciate you trusting us. But it's 208.5 now. So we'll go with that. So that's 3.
Yeah. Is there any money line we like tonight, or should we stay away from the money? Okay.
Because honestly, like as I said, the Knicks have to show up here. Like it leans towards Boston theoretically, but the Knicks have to show up here. And as much as Minnesota is favored and maybe projected to win this game by 4 or 5 points,
it's hard
the
to
Warriors have this game as well. So this is not like either side really speaking.
Yeah, I was going to actually agree with that. I was kind of hoping you'd say no because both of the home teams could easily win outright. And that's not a stretch because of the spots they're in. They're home. So yeah, let's stay away from money lines. So we got 3. We got 4 more in us, Shark, right? A 7 leg. Well,
yeah.
Let's at least get to 6 since we're not doing money lines.
Yeah. All right.
Why don't we also take pods? We were both liking that play earlier. Let's take Podziemski over 11.5 points.
Okay, I like that. Let's go with the under in the Dubs game. We can get 200.5. Our guy Chad says, love the over in game 1, love the under in game 2. Well, Chad, you're going to love this parlay then. What else do we have? Wait, we should 2 more, I guess.
I have 1 more if you don't mind. This probably trends with the under, so it's correlative, and actually trends to the pods over and Gary Payton over. I actually think Kuminga is due for a bad game. I don't think he can keep up this type of shooting performance. So I actually like Kuminga under 17.5 points. So
yeah, I would agree with that for 2 reasons. One, as you said, it's hard to come back off a 30-point performance with another big one, especially for a younger player like this who's not that great from long distance. And I also think that the Timberwolves are going to adjust. I mean, they know that it was basically just Butler and Kuminga in game 3. And that's where we said oftentimes you see these reversals in terms of point output with these players, like where it'll be coming down for Kuminga, it'll be coming up for Podziemski. That's what we have Podziemski in here. So that all correlates together for sure. That's 5. This is where it gets a little difficult. I'm seeing Nickeil Alexander-Walker points over 5.5. We know this guy is like all or nothing. He did have 0 points in the last game. Do we think he goes over 5.5?
I think so, but it's literally just the lack of playing time that scares me with Minnesota's bench. But if he gets 20 minutes, yes, he's going to knock down 1-3 and likely get another shot to fall or get to the line. It's just the playing time that's been the issue. We could something we haven't done historically is we could also throw in an alternative points line. Like last night, I gave away Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to score 25 plus as part of a parlay because that's well below his actual line, as you know. I'm just thinking out loud on the spot. We could do if you like Jimmy to score 20 plus, that's 6 points below his line. It's a parlay. We could do something like that, but just thinking outside the box.
If we could get a line for over 20 points for Butler, what's the line, like minus 250? 270? Probably super high.
Actually, it's probably too juiced, but let me look. I have it right here.
I bet it's like over 300.
I have it at.
It's minus 650.
That shows you it's going to hit. That's like it's even worse than a big money line. I guess we can't get that juicy.
Minus 650. Well, so he's definitely going to get more than 20 tonight based on that number. You want to talk about the contrarian special, almost like the kind of like the asshole special here. This is like hate the game play under Edwards points.
Okay.
I mean that, like, I'm telling you, he went off for 36 in the previous game. The line here is 27.5. And again, if the Warriors do play this game tonight, like it's the last game of not only their season, but like of a generation, it's very, very plausible to assume that they just completely go after Anthony Edwards and double team him like every time he gets the ball. Because if you really look at that box score over the weekend, we had the conversation about Julius Randle. I mean, the entire game was pretty much Edwards and Randle. So you talk about being kind of easy to defend. I mean, Minnesota is really only running their offense through two guys, and they both play, more or less on the perimeter. They play a similar game. Obviously, Julius Randle's a bigger guy, but they do play a similar style of ball.
Yeah, I can get there. So I don't love fading him just because I think he's shot so many times and I don't think he's going to change. But if the Warriors play that defense, you know what? Let's do it because it literally correlates with every play we've taken so far. So why not be contrarian and correlative? It's what we do on the show, Shark. I love it. Is it official? Edwards under 27.5?
I mean, you talk about the number. I'm just looking on DraftKings here. The number is right on his season average. He actually averaged 27.5 points per game. The line is precisely 27.5. It's actually juiced to the under, though, which I think is pretty noteworthy.
Yeah, is that our sixth play? Because I just found a third one a last one that I like.
See, here's the thing, like with these numbers, like Chad said, well, who's going to score if they both go under? Again, if the game is projected to be like incredibly low scoring, you guys saw the OKC game yesterday, okay? Like 92-87. The first half score was almost like a first quarter score. So the point is, like, these games have the ability to play in such a manner, like it's hard to visualize because it's so different than the regular season. Like this game could end up literally like 95-91 or something like incredibly low, at which point you say to yourself, all right, Edwards gets 25 and Randle gets like 18. And then Gobert gets like 10. McDaniels gets 11. Maybe Conley gets a few buckets. Naz Reid gets like 12. DiVincenzo hits a bucket, and there's your 90 points. It's actually just a very interesting conversation because these games are so much different than you ever see in the regular season. So you almost have to forget you ever watched basketball unless you grew up in the 90s or the 80s, and you'd be like, oh, I know what you're talking about. But like not a lot of scoring. So they're not going to be bloated total. So yeah, let's just put it in there. I mean, it's a great look. So
that's fine. Yeah, no, that's 7 plays. We can finish it off. The last play I was going to get to, which we don't need to add it in because 8's a lot. As I'm going through, I'm looking at the other game for 3-pointers. I like Big Al. I like Al Horford to make 2+ threes tonight at plus money. Just throwing it out there if you guys are looking for a side parlay or something. He made 3 last game, and the key is he played 35 minutes. He's taken over all of Porzingis' minutes with his weird illness issue going on, and Horford's going to be on the court. He's going to be wide open. He's going to be left in the corner. He's not afraid to shoot. So just one last take there for the show in general on props. I like Horford over 1.5 threes.
Yeah, I mean, you can put it in there if you want. I mean, I do feel like sometimes when we reach, the last one is the one that doesn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not officially in a parlay, but I do like it. So
yeah, I think we're good. So Burns, you want to put that one up on the screen? We'll just go over it really quickly here. Alex Kudo says, what is the parlay? Can we get it on the screen? Oh, unbelievable. Burnsy, you just do incredible work. DJ and Parlay, Randle under 20.5 points. Gary Payton Jr. over 9.5 PRA. I really like that take. Knicks Celtics over. We love that. Pods over. Love that. Wolves under. Top look in the game from a game perspective. Kuminga under. Great look. And Anthony Edwards under 2 points.
Plus 19,000 odds. No.
We're all going to become millionaires tonight. We just inflated the price of this parlay.
That's under 27.5 for the official.
2 points. Donovan Mitchell called him and he was like, bro, it's cool to get injured in a blowout on the road. Just don't play tonight, dude. Speaking of Donovan, we'll be in here tomorrow talking about a big-time Cavs spot. Let's do a little Q&A now.
Practice? We're talking about practice, man.
Questions on a Monday. I think we got 5 questions starred here. Let's just get it rolling.
Parlays? We talking about parlays?
Questions, man. All right, ambient melodies. Ambient melodies. Oh, I'm already like,
what a name. That is just woo.
Look, you're outside, you got the natural air, you got ambient melodies. I mean, don't fall asleep on us here. I mean, it's like pure relaxation here. We'll see Brunson getting a lot of assists. I'm not sure if that's a question or a statement, but I agree. So we'll keep it moving.
I also agree.
Draymond over 5.5 rebounds. Luke, you got that one?
I do. And so this is an interesting one because at surface level, you'd probably be like, oh, Draymond, easy. Like, you should go over that easily. But what's interesting is this is an underline. So Draymond averages 6.1 rebounds per game on the season. And in this series, he's gone under this twice, and twice by a lot. Last game, he only put up 2 rebounds. Game before that, 4 rebounds. So, Naveen, before you hammer the over here, let me just warn you, this is an underline. I'm not betting it in either direction, but if I was going off simply numerical analysis, it's actually an under. So, again, do with that what you will. It's a stay away for me, but the numbers are showing an under here.
Yeah, I think an interesting point on that, too, goes back to what I said about this game potentially being incredibly low scoring. It's also the pace being low. Like, you might just not see a lot of shot attempts, in which case there's just not a lot of opportunities for rebounds. I don't really have a comment on that. I do agree that it's kind of in the middle. He could either bounce back and just hit the boards. And, of course, there's also variance there, too, with, like, long rebounds. Like, does it bounce his direction and a bunch of stuff like that. So I think just a tough question there, really.
The take there is what you said. It's pace of play. It's showing that the pace will be slow. It doesn't mean there won't be rebounding opportunities, but there will be less shots up, less opportunity. So I agree.
Yeah. Backtrack for a second, Luke. What do you think about Pritchard over 14.5 PRA tonight?
Chad, you know that I'm a Pritchard fan. He's a great player. He runs the floor. He spreads the floor. He's not afraid to shoot. For his size and height, he's one of those guys, kind of like McConnell, Shark, that we talked about. He's done more with his physical God-given talent than he probably should have, or most guys would have, because he works his ass off, and he's just grinded from Oregon as a great star player in the Pac-12 to now a 6th man that's huge on a championship team. I love his over here because he has gone over this in points alone. So Pritchard's a guy that's going to get minutes off the bench. He's not afraid to shoot. If anything, you have to lean over here if you're talking PRA.
Brunson over 2.5 threes.
This is interesting. He's Mr. Clutch. He can hit 3 threes in the span of 3 minutes, but I'm generally not on Brunson having just a ridiculous scoring game, as we talked about earlier in the show. So, Raul, I can't blame you for taking anything Brunson over because he's the guy. But for me, if anything, I'm actually looking at him distributing, as someone hinted at earlier. I think he's going to have a nice assist game. For me, it's a little bit less of a scoring game tonight.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, top play in the game for me is the over. I don't really want him to have under 3 threes. That all being said, we want the other guys to get involved. We don't want ISO ball with Brunson. That's going to just log jam the game. It's going to lead to a Knicks loss, honestly. The Knicks need to move the ball around. So I think, again, this one could go either way. And let's keep it moving there. Shark, anyone tell you look like Klay Thompson? Yes, we've heard that over the months. Appreciate it. Klay's my guy. Talk about an absolute legendary player. Love Klay. So I'll take the compliment. Love Klay. Hope he's getting back next year with an upstart Mavs group.
You got to love it. Thanks for bringing it up, Will Johnson. It's a comparable. It's a compliment. Klay's an awesome fella, hella shooter. And best yet, I will eventually get Shark to wear a headband on the show just to see if it's really that true of a lookalike.
Celtics first half team total over 55.
This is more of a – we talk about us not looking at team totals as super sharp lines. Again, I have to lean to you in this market, Shark, but if you like the game over, I don't think – I guess the better question is probably, do you see the first half getting off scoring, or is it more of a later game catch-up?
I would lean towards the over here. As I said, I think the Knicks need to come out with pace and offensive efficiency, which I think also does facilitate Boston to score more. It puts more of a premium that they have to keep up and really push. And if you look at what they did in the previous game, of course, they did score 71 over the weekend. That's not going to repeat most likely, but I do think 55, just because, again, we expect the game to come out with pace. Like, you saw the game over the weekend. It really came out at a snail's pace. Like, I mean, obviously part of that is the fact it was a matinee. And a matinee conversation in the playoffs is a totally different conversation, but I can't say I'm a huge fan. You saw it yesterday again with the Denver game. They were terrible. I mean, historically awful. And it's like, there is something to be said about this. These players just don't perform at their normal level on a matinee. Can we keep these games like at least until like 5 or 6 o'clock minimum? I don't know. Totally different conversation, but I do think 55 is, naturally a sharp number. These team totals are very sharp. It's not going to be 71. It's not free money because they scored 71 and this is so short, whatever. But I just think the game in general is going to have a lot more energy to it. So I would lean towards the over here.
And just officially to add to the doppelganger options, we now have Dansby Swanson, Shark. Have you ever gotten that one before?
No, I'll take that. He's got a cute wife. She plays for the U.S. women's soccer team. So we love that as well. Just great people around here. It's fantastic. Let's keep the questions coming here. Jimmy Butler under 26.5 points. We talked about this before. He's going to score. There might not be a lot of points in the game. I think this is really sharp. Obviously, like you see how the price is just so widely spread here in such a small window. Like 20 points over is minus 650. Only 6 points north of that, you're sitting at like neutral odds, which basically means he's going to score over 20 and he's going to have a market cap right around 26.5. So this goes back to what we talked about in the regular season where superstar players are usually just very sharp. So I think very sharp, probably a coin flip there.
I'm not going to add anything that was absolutely spot on. He's going to have 20 plus. He's probably not going to get to 30. It's right in that window. So I'm not taking it in either direction.
Rico Porter Jr. says Anthony Edwards over 5 assists. Based on the idea that he's not going to score as much, I could see the assists. We saw this in game 1 where he had, I believe, 1 point at the half. Of course, he did explode in the second half, but because of that, he did have more rebounds and assists. I remember we were actually on here that day talking about it, and my guy Ben, who had asked a great question and said he thought that Edwards over and just the rebound and assist market was very good. Truthfully, I could see that hitting again tonight. I could see Edwards having stats in the non-point scoring category. So I don't know. What do you think, Luke?
I was just going to hit on the fact that you talked about it. Rebounds and assists is where I like to answer this question. I do think he gets probably 6+ assists, but last game I liked his rebound and assists because I'll probably play it every game in this series. I really will. Last game he only had 8. Game prior 14. Game prior 16. So I do like rebounds and assists. If you want Rico, he's been grabbing a lot of boards, so you could add some value there. But in general, I would say yes to this question. But I will probably bet Anthony Edwards rebounds and assists line every single game this series.
What about one of them plus 11,000 game total? It's actually a precise score, just to clarify for those of you guys. Yeah, we can give you one in the Boston game. I have Boston to win either 111-104 or 110-104.
What a way to end the show. We're going to drop an exact score. Shark's going to hit it, and we're going to walk off. Everyone's going to be pumped.
So that's a great figure right there. And as I've said before, these are not all just plus 11,000. You have to go look at it, but you can get up to plus 14 or plus 15,000 on these precise score bets. So they're fun, and it's pizza money, and it's just fun to root for. So it is what it is. But
what was your official line? Sorry, I didn't hear the final score.
Burns, you want to put this in the chat or on the screen here? 2 different results, 111-104 Boston or 110-104 Boston.
Love it. Pizza money, baby.
Absolutely. And taking a breath, 54 minutes in. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us for these hour-long shows and 2 games. We love to bring the conversation and really the highest level of analysis. Luke, give me some words and I'll close them out.
Simple words, guys. We get one life. Let's live it. We appreciate the positivity on this Monday. Whether we win or lose, we show up to grind with you guys and conversate in this show. It's one of my best parts of my week. Appreciate you guys. Tons of plays to win. let's have, just like last Thursday when it was Shark and Shuey, we want to run it back tonight. Like, subscribe, comment, all the above. Until next time, book it, baby.
The energy's ramping up. I said the first one was 70%. The second one was about 90. I think that was about like 82%. But as I said, we appreciate you guys hanging out. We will be on here all the way through the finals and next year in the regular season every day during the week. It really is an opportunity to dominate. We love the conversation and the analysis. Have a great day. I have 8 VIP plays today. Luke has how many, Luke?
In the NBA, we have, I don't want to misquote, 6, I believe.
So that's 14 combined VIP plays, and I have baseball as well. We appreciate you guys immensely. Have a great day. NBA player performance on this Monday for J.A. Cavalier. Cashing tickets around the world. The prop master, Luke Shuey. I am the Shark. Stay fast, stay strong, stay disciplined, and let's dominate.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort. Suffocation, no